Have you ever stood in a forest and felt the quiet pulse of the world around you? The gentle sway of leaves in the breeze, the rhythm of bird song, the endless flow of a river carving its way through the earth. There is a language here, a message older than words, speaking not in commands but in whispers. It tells us that life is not a race to be won, not a puzzle to be solved, but a dance, an invitation to move in harmony with the world's natural rhythm. What if the secret to a more peaceful, fulfilling life isn't found in struggle, but in surrender? What if we stopped forcing our way forward and started flowing with the current of existence? This is the heart of Taoism, a philosophy born from ancient China and carried through centuries by sages, poets, and wanderers. Tao, often translated as the way, is not a destination but the unfolding path of the universe itself. It is the flow of rivers, the breath of wind, the cycle of seasons. It is both everything and nothing, a mystery so vast and intimate that it can never be fully named, only lived. Taoism invites us to step away from the rigidity of human rules and reconnect with this flow, this natural order that pulses beneath the surface of all things. But what does it mean to live with the Tao? How do we, in our modern lives of screens and deadlines, align ourselves with something so ancient, so subtle? Taoism doesn't offer a rigid code of conduct or a list of commandments. Instead, it invites us into an attitude of openness, of humility, of deep listening. It teaches that simplicity is not weakness, that flexibility is not passivity. In the face of life's chaos, Taoism offers a quiet alternative: to let go of the urge to control, to trust the unfolding, to find peace not by fighting, but by yielding. As we begin this journey into Taoist wisdom, we will explore its origins, its core concepts, and its practices. We will uncover how this philosophy of natural harmony can offer us a refuge from modern stress and a pathway to inner peace. So take a breath. Feel the air move around you. Listen. The way is already here, waiting. Taoism, as we understand it today, traces its origins to a time of both profound turmoil and rich philosophical exploration in ancient China. It was during the 6th century BCE that the figure of Laozi, the legendary philosopher and mystic, is said to have composed the Tao Te Ching, a text whose 81 short chapters contain the distilled essence of Taoist thought. Laozi's name, meaning old master, hints at the elusive nature of his existence. Some scholars debate whether he was a single individual, a composite of multiple teachers, or perhaps even a symbolic figurehead. Yet his words, regardless of their precise origin, have echoed across millennia. The Tao Te Ching speaks not in dogma, but in poetry, offering paradoxical yet profound insights into the nature of reality, leadership, and human life. In Laozi's time, China was not a unified empire, but a patchwork of warring states, each vying for power and dominance. Amid the chaos of political intrigue and constant conflict, many sought answers in philosophy and spiritual practice. Confucianism arose as a response to social disorder, emphasizing moral duty, familial respect, and structured hierarchies. Meanwhile, Taoism offered a strikingly different path, one that did not seek to impose order, but to recognize the order already present in the natural world. Where Confucius focused on ritual, hierarchy, and responsibility, Laozi's Taoism focused on surrender, spontaneity, and alignment with the unseen forces of the universe. The Tao was not something to be built or legislated. It was the flow of life itself. Laozi's teachings were both a reflection of and a response to the cultural climate of his time. The constant wars and shifting alliances had created a world where rigid structures often led to failure and suffering. Taoism's message of yielding to the natural flow, of embracing softness over hardness, offered a quiet yet revolutionary alternative. The image of water, soft, yielding, yet powerful enough to carve through mountains, became a central metaphor in Taoist thought. Water did not fight or resist, yet it always found a way forward. This idea resonated with those who felt trapped by the relentless demands of politics, ambition, and societal expectations. Following Laozi, another key figure emerged, Zhuangzi, a philosopher and storyteller whose writings expanded on Taoist principles with wit, irony, and a deep sense of freedom. His eponymous text, the Zhuangzi, is filled with fantastical parables and dialogues that challenge conventional thinking. Zhuangzi mocked the rigidity of dogma and the arrogance of certainty, instead celebrating the playful unpredictability of life. His tales of a man dreaming he is a butterfly, of a giant fish transforming into a bird, invite readers to question the boundaries between self and other, reality and illusion. If Laozi's Taoism was the quiet stream, Zhuangzi's was the playful, unpredictable river. Taoism's emergence cannot be separated from the broader tapestry of Chinese spiritual and philosophical traditions. Alongside Confucianism and later Buddhism, it formed one of the three teachings that shaped Chinese culture for centuries. Yet while Confucianism focused on social harmony through structured relationships, and Buddhism emphasized liberation from suffering through the renunciation of desire, Taoism offered a path that wove these elements together with a distinctive focus on natural harmony and effortless living. Unlike Buddhism, which originated in India and stressed the overcoming of desire and the cycle of rebirth, Taoism was deeply rooted in the Chinese landscape itself, its rivers, mountains, winds, and changing seasons. Taoism did not call for escape from the world, but for a deeper immersion in its rhythms. This contrast between Taoism, Confucianism, and Buddhism was not merely theoretical, but practical. In the courts of emperors and the lives of common people, these philosophies often intertwined. Confucian officials upheld social order, Buddhist monks sought spiritual transcendence, and Taoist sages retreated into mountains to cultivate harmony with the Tao. Yet Taoism also permeated folk practices, from herbal medicine to alchemy, from meditation to martial arts. It was not confined to cloisters or palaces, but lived in the everyday rituals of planting, healing, and observing the world's subtle signs. Over the centuries, Taoism evolved into both a philosophy and a religion. The early philosophical Taoism of Laozi and Zhuangzi emphasized personal alignment with the Tao through simplicity and spontaneity. Religious Taoism, which developed later, incorporated rituals, deities, and priestly hierarchies, blending with folk beliefs and practices. Temples dedicated to the immortals, elaborate ceremonies to summon divine favor, and practices aimed at cultivating longevity became part of the Taoist tapestry. Yet at its core, the heart of Taoism remained a profound respect for the natural world and an invitation to live in harmony with its flow. Taoism's endurance can be attributed to its adaptability and its deep resonance with the human experience. It did not promise power or salvation. It offered perspective. It did not dictate a strict path, but pointed to the invisible current that runs beneath all things. In a world obsessed with control, Taoism whispered of letting go. In times of conflict, it suggested retreat. In the face of complexity, it offered simplicity. This philosophy, born from ancient China's chaos and beauty, continues to offer a mirror to our own lives today, reminding us that the greatest strength often lies in softness and the highest wisdom often in humility. As we continue our journey, We'll leave the history behind and dive into the heart of Taoist philosophy itself. What is the Tao? How can we learn to flow with it? And what does it mean to truly live in harmony with the world around us? The answers await. At the heart of Taoism lies a concept so vast, so elusive, that it defies complete understanding. It is called the Tao, often translated as the Way. Yet this translation only scratches the surface of its meaning. The Tao is not a road to follow or a method to apply. It is the living, breathing pattern of the universe itself. It is the flow of rivers, the shift of seasons, the silent growth of a tree, the invisible connection between all things. It is that which cannot be named, yet is always present. Laozi begins the Tao Te Ching with a paradox. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. This sets the tone for the entire philosophy, one that invites us to observe, to listen, and to feel, rather than to define or control. In the Tao, there is no beginning or end, no hierarchy, no destination. Everything exists in a state of flow, of constant change, of dynamic balance. To live in harmony with the Tao is not to impose our will upon the world, but to recognize the currents already at work and to move with them. It means observing the patterns of nature and aligning our actions accordingly. When we do this, we are not forcing change. We are allowing it to unfold as it must. This brings us to one of the core concepts of Taoism, Wu Wei. Wu Wei is often translated as non-action or effortless action, but it does not mean passivity or laziness. Instead, it describes a state of alignment with the Tao, where actions arise naturally and effectively without force or struggle. Imagine a skilled dancer who no longer thinks about the steps, whose movements are fluid and responsive to the music. This is Wu Wei, the art of doing by not doing, of achieving goals by letting go of rigid control. The sage does not resist the world, but responds to it with grace and spontaneity. In this way, Taoism offers a radical alternative to the modern obsession with relentless effort and constant striving. This idea of effortless living is deeply intertwined with the values of simplicity and humility. In Taoist thought, complexity breeds confusion, while simplicity reveals clarity. Laozi wrote, "Manifest plainness, embrace simplicity, reduce selfishness, have few desires." The Taoist sage is not one who seeks wealth or status, but one who finds contentment in the ordinary. There is no need for elaborate schemes or grand displays. True wisdom lies in quietness, in the willingness to be small, to yield, to remain flexible. Humility in Taoism is not self-deprecation, but the recognition that we are but one part of a vast, interconnected whole. The more we insist on our importance, the more we separate ourselves from the Tao. Yin and Yang, the complementary forces that flow through all aspects of existence, offer another window into the Taoist worldview. Yin represents softness, receptivity, and darkness, while Yang embodies strength, activity, and light. These are not opposing forces in conflict, but dynamic partners in a cosmic dance. One cannot exist without the other. Day gives way to night, activity yields to rest, strength is softened by vulnerability. When we embrace both yin and yang within ourselves, our strengths and weaknesses, our light and shadow, we align more fully with the Tao. Taoism teaches us to recognize that every extreme contains the seed of its opposite, and true balance arises from their harmony. Ziran, often translated as naturalness or spontaneity, is a principle that encourages us to live authentically, free from pretense and artifice. Ziran is the state of being as we truly are, without forcing ourselves into molds or expectations. It is the uncontrived unfolding of life, the spontaneous expression of the Tao through us. Consider a mountain stream that twists and turns around rocks, never forcing a straight path yet always moving forward. Or a tree that grows not according to a gardener's plan, but according to the soil, the sun, the rain. In these images, Taoism invites us to return to our own nature, to drop the masks and performances, and to move with the rhythms of life as they are. The stories of Taoist sages beautifully illustrate these principles. In the Zhuangzi, we find the tale of Cook Ding, a master chef who carves oxen with such effortless skill that his knife never dulls. When asked about his technique, Cook Ding explains that he does not rely on his eyes or intellect, but lets his spirit move with the natural lines of the ox's body. His movements are guided by the Tao, and so he cuts without struggle. This story exemplifies Wu Wei and Ziran, the state of flowing with the natural order rather than imposing force. Another tale tells of Zhuangzi dreaming he is a butterfly. In the dream, he flutters through the air, carefree and light, with no awareness of himself as Zhuangzi. Upon waking, he wonders, was he a man dreaming of a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming of being a man? This story speaks to the fluidity of identity, the impermanence of distinctions, and the deeper reality of connection between all beings. It invites us to loosen our rigid sense of self and to embrace the mystery of existence. Taoism's core concepts, Tao, Wu Wei, simplicity, humility, Yin-Yang and Ziran, are not isolated doctrines but an integrated way of seeing and being. They offer us a map to navigate the complexities of life with grace and wisdom. Rather than urging us to conquer the world, they invite us to become part of its natural flow, to find strength in yielding, clarity in simplicity, and authenticity in spontaneity. In a world that often demands we push harder, think faster, and stand taller, Taoism gently whispers another way: to soften, to listen, to flow. As we journey deeper into this philosophy, we will discover how these timeless concepts can be woven into the fabric of daily life, transforming ordinary moments into expressions of the Tao. The path is not about escape or retreat, but about presence, about learning to move with the river, rather than against it. The Tao is not a destination, but the journey itself, waiting to be embraced with every breath we take. Taoism, though steeped in ancient philosophy, is not a practice confined to dusty scrolls or remote temples. Its beauty lies in its application, how its wisdom infuses the simple, everyday moments of life. At its core, Taoism teaches that the most profound truths are often found not in grand gestures or complex rituals, but in the natural rhythms of breath, movement, and mindfulness. A Taoist life is one lived in quiet attention, attuned to the subtle flows of energy that surround and move through us. Breathing, for instance, is one of the most fundamental ways Taoism connects us to the Tao. Rather than the shallow, rapid breaths common in stressful modern life, Taoist practice encourages slow, deep, mindful breathing. This isn't merely a health tip, it's a philosophy in action. By focusing on the breath, we become aware of the present moment, aligning our inner rhythms with the natural world. In Taoist meditation, the breath is seen as a bridge between body and spirit, a pathway that connects us to the invisible flow of life energy, or qi. Breathing with awareness calms the mind, nourishes the body, and reconnects us to the Tao's flow. Movement, too, is an expression of Taoist principles. Practices such as Tai Chi and Qigong are not just physical exercises, but moving meditations. These flowing, graceful movements embody the philosophy of Wu Wei, effortless action. In Tai Chi, for example, every shift of weight, every turn of the wrist, mirrors the soft, yielding strength of water. There is no rush, no force, only presence and flow. This is Taoism in motion, teaching practitioners to move in harmony with gravity, breath, and intention. Such practices are not aimed at competition or performance, but at cultivating balance both physically and spiritually. Taoism's approach to health and longevity is deeply intertwined with its emphasis on harmony and balance. Rather than focusing solely on treating illness, Taoist health practices aim to prevent imbalance in the first place. This involves living in tune with natural cycles, rising with the sun, resting with the moon, eating seasonal foods, and aligning one's activities with the changing energies of the day and year. Herbal medicine, acupuncture, and practices aimed at nourishing life, known as Yang Sheng, reflect this holistic view. The goal is not merely to extend life, but to enhance its quality, allowing the body to age gracefully and the spirit to remain light and resilient. Taoist meditation offers another window into this philosophy. Unlike practices that seek to control or empty the mind, Taoist meditation invites the practitioner to observe thoughts without attachment, much like watching clouds drift across the sky. Sitting quietly, breathing naturally, and allowing awareness to settle into the lower abdomen, where qi is said to gather, creates a state of relaxed alertness. This is not about escaping the world, but about entering more fully into its flow, becoming aware of the subtle movements of energy within and around us. In this stillness, we touch the Tao, not as an abstract idea, but as a lived experience. But Taoism isn't confined to formal practice. It whispers through the cracks of ordinary life, inviting us to live in flow even amid the busyness of modern existence. Consider the way a gardener tends to plants, not by forcing growth, but by understanding the needs of each species, adjusting care with the seasons, and respecting the soil's natural fertility. Or the way a skilled craftsperson allows the grain of wood or the texture of clay to guide their hands, resulting in creations that feel organic and alive. These are real-world expressions of Taoist principles working with, rather than against, the nature of things. In relationships, Taoism encourages us to let go of rigid expectations and to approach others with openness and adaptability. Just as water finds its way around obstacles, we can learn to navigate challenges with patience and grace. This doesn't mean becoming passive or avoiding conflict, but rather responding in ways that maintain harmony and integrity. A Taoist approach to conflict, for instance, would not involve overpowering or manipulating, but listening deeply, waiting for the right moment, and acting from a place of calm clarity. Nature itself becomes a living teacher in the Taoist way of life. Observing the changing seasons reveals lessons about impermanence and renewal. Spring bursts forth with energy and growth. Summer radiates fullness and vitality. Autumn signals letting go, and winter invites rest and reflection. Each season carries its own wisdom, reminding us that life is cyclical, not linear. Water, a central symbol in Taoist thought, illustrates this beautifully. It flows around obstacles, finds the path of least resistance, nourishes everything it touches, and yet carves through stone over time. To live like water is to embody resilience, adaptability, and quiet strength. The wind, too, offers insights. It moves freely, without attachment, shifting direction effortlessly. It reminds us that change is natural, that clinging to fixed ideas or outcomes only creates suffering. The Taoist sage watches the wind, listens to its lessons, and learns to move with it rather than resist. This openness to change, this acceptance of life's unpredictability, is a hallmark of Taoist practice. In these simple yet profound ways, Taoism infuses daily life with meaning. It teaches that every breath, every step, every interaction can be an opportunity to align with the Tao. It's not about withdrawing from the world or renouncing its pleasures, but about approaching it with awareness, flexibility, and humility. Whether through breathing, movement, health practices, or simply paying attention to the rhythms of nature, Taoism offers a path not to perfection, but to presence. It invites us to dance with life's currents, to trust the unfolding, and to find peace not by conquering the world, but by harmonizing with it. This is Taoism in practice, a living philosophy as natural as the wind and as enduring as the mountains. In a world that moves faster every day, where demands pile high and stress seeps into every corner of life, Taoism's wisdom feels like a quiet but steady voice calling us back to balance. Its principles, rooted in the natural flow of the universe, resonate more deeply today than ever before. In a culture obsessed with productivity, self-optimization, and control, the Tao invites us to pause, to breathe, to remember that life is not a race to be won, but a rhythm to be lived. The ancient philosophy that once guided wandering sages and hermits through Chinese mountains now finds its place amid the concrete jungles and digital landscapes of the modern world. Taoism teaches us that striving too hard, pushing too much, often leads us further from peace. In our pursuit of goals, whether career ambitions, personal achievements, or even spiritual progress, we can lose sight of the gentle flow that surrounds us. The concept of Wu Wei, or effortless action, offers a radical counterpoint to modern hustle culture. Instead of forcing outcomes, Taoism suggests we align with the natural flow of circumstances. It's about discerning when to act and when to yield, when to speak and when to listen. This doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive, but rather recognizing that the most profound transformations often happen when we stop trying to control every detail. In a world filled with noise and urgency, the practice of non-striving becomes an act of quiet rebellion. Simplicity, too, is a gift Taoism offers to the modern age. In a consumer-driven society that equates happiness with accumulation, Taoism reminds us that fulfillment often lies in letting go. It encourages us to pare down, to focus on what truly nourishes us, whether that's in the physical space we inhabit, the relationships we cultivate, or the thoughts we entertain. Simplicity doesn't mean deprivation, it means clarity. It means creating space for the Tao to flow freely through our lives, unblocked by clutter and distraction. This approach resonates with modern minimalism and the growing interest in mindfulness. But Taoism's simplicity is not a trend. It is a way of being. The influence of Taoism extends beyond individual practice and into the realms of art, literature, and ecology. In visual arts, Taoist aesthetics often emphasize natural forms, asymmetry, and a sense of spaciousness. Traditional Chinese landscape paintings with their misty mountains and flowing rivers invite the viewer into a world where human presence is humble, almost insignificant, compared to the grandeur of nature. This artistic philosophy has inspired modern artists around the world to explore themes of harmony, impermanence, and the sublime. In literature, Taoist ideas echo in the works of poets and writers who celebrate nature's rhythms and the beauty of simplicity. From the haiku poets of Japan, influenced by Taoist and Zen thought, to contemporary authors who weave Taoist themes into their stories, the philosophy's reach is wide and deep. These works invite readers to slow down, to observe, and to connect with the quiet truths that often lie beneath the surface of busy lives. Perhaps most significantly for our time, Taoism offers valuable insights for ecological thinking. Its emphasis on harmony with nature, on recognizing the interconnectedness of all things, aligns with modern environmental movements. In an era marked by climate change and ecological crisis, Taoism's reverence for the natural world feels urgent and necessary. It teaches that we are not separate from nature but part of its intricate web. Our health, our survival, our very identity are bound to the earth, the water, the air. Taoism encourages us to listen to the changing seasons, to the needs of the land, to the voices of animals and plants. It offers a philosophy of stewardship, not dominance, a call to act not from control, but from respect. In these ways, Taoism continues to speak to us today. Its timeless wisdom, once whispered through ancient texts and mountain winds, now hums beneath the static of modern life. It invites us to step back from the chaos, to find our own flow, and to reconnect with the rhythms that sustain us. In a world that often feels out of balance, Taoism offers a path not just to personal peace, but to collective harmony. And in that, there is both hope and homecoming. Taoism's wisdom has endured for thousands of years, not because it is loud or forceful, but because it is quiet, patient, and true. It teaches us that life is not something to be conquered or controlled, but something to be observed and embraced. Its enduring message whispers to us in the rustling leaves, in the ebb and flow of the tides, in the rise and fall of our own breath. The Tao is not a destination to be reached, but a current that carries us, if we learn to let go. In a world often overwhelmed by noise, ambition, and control, Taoism offers a gentle yet profound reminder. Peace and wisdom are found not by grasping, but by yielding. And so, as we close this journey, I offer a prayer for you in the spirit of the Tao. May the wind carry away the burdens you no longer need to bear. May the water soften the rigid places in your heart and mind. May the earth ground you in simplicity and presence. And may the sky remind you of the vastness of possibility. May you walk through life with the quiet confidence of one who trusts the flow, who listens to the rhythms of nature and responds with grace. May you breathe deeply, move softly, and live fully as the Tao intended. And may the path ahead be not one of struggle, but of harmony. Now I invite you to join this conversation, not as an observer, but as a participant in the great flow of wisdom. Share your thoughts below. What aspect of Taoism speaks most deeply to you? What lessons from the way have touched your life? And what changes will you embrace to align more fully with the Tao? Subscribe to this channel not to be part of the crowd, but to weave yourself into a community that values quiet insight over noise. Like this video, not for the dopamine rush of social approval, but as an offering to the unseen flow that connects us all. And share this journey with someone who, like you, seeks not answers, but harmony. Thank you for spending your time with us, for bringing your attention and your spirit to this moment. This isn't just a video. It's a space where the ancient whispers of Taoism meet the modern heartbeat of humanity. Let the way continue to guide you, softly and surely, wherever life may lead.